All right, hello and welcome everyone. So, Wukong has been reworked. So, I was not very positive on this rework leading up to it because it seemed a little rough. However, it is out and I have now been able to look at the numbers, and much like Wisp, I'm very happy with this rework. Do I think that Wukong is like this meta monster who is going to destroy the entire universe? No, definitely not. But he is quite solid. That's for certain. So let's get into this. Basically, the main build that I'm using is this one. And the most important things here are that I'm using Primal Rage, which I think is definitely the augment to build around for Wukong because his 4 is good now, and this gives your 4 a ton of crit. With that, the other augment that a lot of people are considering, so I'm going to talk about it, is Celestial Stomp. So Celestial Stomp basically turns your 1 into, after you make your clone, you hit it again, and then your clone does a Rhino Stomp. However, this does not have a moddable duration, so it lasts like 1 to 3 seconds-ish in terms of the stun. And you kind of have to build around it completely with range and such to really make it worthwhile at all. And Wukong doesn't regularly actually want range. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation in terms of Celestial Stomp. And I would not suggest building around it because you can instead build around murdering everyone in a few seconds instead of stunning them for a few seconds. So I like that option a bit better. For this build, tankiness, umbral mods, and adaptation. It's very worth noting that this can be a one form of build if you use the regular versions of these mods and not the umbral ones. But the most important thing here is adaptation. If you're really used to Wukong being totally invincible, adaptation is pretty much gonna do that for you because adaptation is insanely good. And combine that with a high health total and a good chunk of armor from your 3 and all that kind of business, and you're pretty much going to be completely unkillable at any reasonable level of enemies, or even actually at unreasonable levels of enemies in a lot of cases, to be completely honest. In this build, there's kind of one flex spot because you're definitely building for duration because it makes your 4 cheaper and it makes your 2 and your 3 better. So you're definitely building for that. But Hunter Adrenaline, flex spot for sure. I personally have enjoyed Hunter Adrenaline because it makes me definitely have energy whenever I absolutely have to have it, which is at higher levels. But this could absolutely be Streamline, or a number of other mods that we're going to go over in a second. But Mobilize is really good up here. This could obviously be Power Drift if you want to put more form into here. Absolutely available. Also, Steel Charge could definitely be Crow's Projection. But I decided to limit myself to 3 Forma because Wukong Prime should be coming up here fairly soon. So that is gonna stay as Steel Charge for now, and Steel Charge is not a bad aura mod, so that's just fine. But I do think that Wukong will do best in a full party of 4 Crow's Projections for a lot of different reasons. And then for Arcanes, Arcane Energize is definitely the best one for him, but you definitely don't need 2. And then for this slot, I decided just to throw Arcane Guardian in here. This could be Arcane Avenger, Arcane Strike. There's a bunch of good Arcanes to put on Wukong. Could be Arcane Consequence, but Guardian and Consequence are some budget options. If you're going to equip those, Wukong will appreciate it, and they are much easier to get a hold of than a lot of the higher end ones like Energize. With that, let's talk about the Iron Staff. So the Iron Staff, looking at this build, anyone that is experienced in building a weapon will be asking themselves, why is there no Blood Rush? That's not good. Oh no! Wukong's 4 is not allowed to use Blood Rush because those mods like Maiming Strike and such, not allowed to be put on here. But we do have access to some really good mods still, like Primed Reach, Condition Overload, Drifting Contact, Berserker, you know, standard stuff. And we are not totally away from Blood Rush's effect, in that if you use your melee weapon as a stat stick, or alternatively use Helios's weapon as a stat stick, you can equip the Gladiator mods. And these Gladiator mods at this level of set give us 45% critical chance per combo multiplier. So that is the same effect that Blood Rush gives, and this, even though it's on Helios, works on your 4. So if you want to get those sweet orange and red crits, you can absolutely do that. And if you want to get to those orange and red crits faster, the flex spot that we talked about in Wukong can instead be changed to a Gladiator mod. This is going to be especially helpful if you feel like you are somehow dying earlier on, or dying somewhere if you're not using like a full like Umbral build on here. You can absolutely switch this to like Arcane Aegis or Arcane Resolve instead of Hunter Adrenaline. And definitely, like, if you don't have adaptation, you can put another mod here in place of that to help beef yourself up and also give yourself some more damage. So if you want to do that, absolutely valid to just do this, and then you're getting 75% critical chance per combo multiplier. I personally am not going to do that, but if that's a potential option for people that don't have adaptation or want to go heavier on that critical chance per combo multiplier effect. So that super worth noting. Besides that, the weapons that we're bringing don't matter too much, other than like the guns. It's better if they're like full auto or burst fire type weapons, because the clone seems to react better to those. Speaking of the clone, here he is with that really excellent animation. The clone is pretty decent. He's a little dumb, but that's kind of to be expected, that he would be a little dumb. And it's fine that he's a little dumb, because even as a little dumb, he's going to swing his melee weapon, and that's really what we want. Also, in addition to that, you can do this, and everyone loves that. Being able to do emotes with the clone, obviously gonna be a thing people are extremely into, and I can't blame them for that. So enjoy that. Basically, his 1 is for goofy fun stuff, but it does have some synergies with his other abilities, like his 2. So his 2 is now what his 3 was, and you become a cloud and go very, very fast for a limited duration. And this ability with this build will pretty much always heal you to full. So if you're damaged and you'd like to not be damaged, you can escape in a cloud of smoke and become completely invulnerable and heal to full, and then come out of the cloud of smoke. It's really good at, like, you know, like you can turn on a dime with this. Like, so traversing is not going to be a problem. Traversing will be no problem whatsoever, and you can chain it to itself in the air, and you can cancel it early, all that kind of stuff. Really good ability for like getting around, escaping. Whenever you come out of it, it still has like the stun and all that good business. So that stuff is great. And then we have his new Defy, which is his 3 now. You and your clone will both do this, and basically you 5 seconds, complete invulnerability. You eat all the damage that comes into you. With this build, it's like a 13.5 multiplier with that damage going back outwards. And if you take enough damage, you get 1500 armor. So basically, this is like what if Atlas's armor bonus was like a convenient thing to get. Like basically, if you take what Atlas does with his rubble, which is healing and armor, his 2 and his 3 for Wukong are basically like, what if that was done way better, like a million infinity better. And would I like the 3 for Wukong to not be capped to 1500 armor? Sure. But I also have had absolutely no trouble surviving at Wukong whatsoever. I never ever feel like I'm in any fucking danger with the build I've put on him. So it's probably fine capped, honestly. And that's a weird thing to say, because I'm me. But yeah, you can also recast your 3 while it is still ticking down. It does have a very long duration with this build, but you will have to refresh it every once in a while. And then you have the 4. So the 4 uses the new melee system that they are putting together, and it is interesting. So you have 4 combos that are all done different ways. You have the mash E combo, which is honestly the best one on Wukong. Straight up, just standing still, mashing E. This big like helicopter throw here, really powerful. Does a ton of multi hits, eats nullifier bubbles alive. Great stuff. Also, just like the basic hit here, that's really solid for just like clearing out some dudes in front of you. And then we have the holding forward in E, which is pretty solid. The slam is going to knock enemies up into the air, and the spin around is good for just killing some dudes that are in front of you as you're making your way through a level. Super solid stuff there. So that's pretty good. And then we have blocking combos, or holding right click combos, as it were. Just they're aiming combos now, I suppose, which is aim and hit E. Bunch of slams. This crowd controls enemies. I never really see myself needing to use this, so it's just kind of there. But the really, truly awful, terrible combo here is holding forward, aiming, and pressing E. This is supposed to be a gap closer, but like while the poke goes kind of far, it's really limited in the amount of enemies it can hit, and the kick like pretty much objectively sucks. And the thing we use as a gap closer in Warframe is this. Like, we're using slam attacks now. We're not fucking around with any of this other shit. Like, we're using slam attacks to gap close now, like 100%. Slam attacks and bullet jumps is where it absolutely is at, and we're not doing we're not doing any of this other like weak gap closing. We're doing like AoE slam attacks into groups of enemies. We're not fucking around here. So that hold forward, hold aim combo, super useless, but it's also extremely hard to do accidentally. So it's fine that it's in there. You can just safely, completely ignore it. Now, for Wukong's test, we're going to do a level 165 test. Because I'll be completely honest with you, Wukong does not give a shit what level these enemies are. He does not give almost a single fuck what level they are, because they are just going to die regardless. So keep in mind, while we're doing this test, these are level 165 enemies that have not had their armor reduced by corrosive projection. It's very important that that is realized, because usually you're going to be in a party with corrosive projection. Like, this is some kind of thing. So we're going to use our Defy, get that armor bonus, and probably kill these Ancients. Okay, Ancient's not dead. That's fine. Use our 4. And now we can just clean house. So those level 165 Bombards, yeah, they're dead now. And, like, enemies are not... They can't really survive against this shit. Like, they... Between you and your clone, motherfuckers die. And also, if you're just, like, clearing trash, the spin attack here is, like, actually really good. So, like, don't be afraid to spin attack through some hallways and murder everyone involved. Like, all of them are dead. That's how long that took. I didn't even notice that most of the enemies died. They fucking evaporated. Like, straight, like, they do not give a fuck. Like, Wukong, I had zero cares, like, that entire time. Like, I mostly just wanted to show off Defy. Probably didn't even need to use it. So you're gonna be well safe and away playing as Wukong. That much is absolutely for certain with this build. So yeah, Wukong's pretty good. He's got some decent AoE clear with being able to, like, slide attack and get some enemies in hallways out of the way and stuff, and it's like a good range on his 4. And, like, even with just his basic combos, just like his mash E is really solid at, like, clearing a room of dudes. It does really high damage. It has decent status. You can use the gladiator mods with it to give you, like, a blood rush type effect. Wukong is good. I know that's a wild sentence to say out loud, but it does actually seem to be the case. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow.